live. Hey everyone.
Hi.
And hi Simon, thank you for joining me.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
That's all right. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Is this my first time on your channel?
Nope. No. Oh gosh, Christmas or New Year or something like that. I'm sure, was it Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve or something? Did we do something?
Yes, we did, didn't we? I know you joined me on
Aye.
Boxing Day, but yeah, I seem to remember doing something with you over the Christmas
Yeah.
period.
Yeah, we did something. It's a distant memory now, isn't it? Which is weird because yeah, it feels as though it should have just been like a couple of days ago, but what are we, 4 months away now?
But the year
Um,
always goes really fast, doesn't it? You know, it's a whole year since lockdown. In some ways, it feels really slow, and in others, it's really fast. But
yeah,
Christmas just feels like a lifetime ago, and it was only
I
what
know.
3 months.
Yeah, I know. We're in quarter 2 now. You had any April Fools?
Yeah, the learners got me. They decided to. I was waiting on a really important call this morning, so they went upstairs, two of them, and they went upstairs and they 141 and rang my phone. So I was like, "This is the call. This is the call," and it was them that were asking what was upstairs. And I just answered the phone, going, "Hello, Brian speaking," and they were just all I could hear was this kind of giggling down the phone. I was like, "What's going on?" And then the penny dropped. What about you?
Oh, yeah. My mum and my brother. So we've got a WhatsApp chat group with my mum and me and my two brothers. Um, and my mum messaged the chat and said, "Boys, I've got something to tell you. You're going to be really shocked. I'm pregnant. Derek's over the moon." And I was like, and then Daniel, my wee brother, the one that got married at the end of last year, message saying, "Oh wow, that's amazing. I was going to wait and tell you in person, but we're just going for our 12-week scan." And I was like, I'm so confused. Like, surely not. And then it hit me. I was like, oh, April Fools.
So were
Very
they
good.
both winding you up?
Well, I think so. I see. This is the thing, right? I don't. I think it's like a double bluff and everything. So now I'm like, are Daniel and Tina actually pregnant? And they're kidding on. It was a joke because they didn't want to have told us like that. Or so now I'm just like, do you know what? See if you are pregnant. I'm happy for you. If you're not, then I hope your next shite's a hedgehog for tricking me. Oh. Anyway, let's have a wee look down the chat um, and say hello to everyone. So we had Neem was here first. Hi, Neem. We've got Nancy from A Crone's Intuition. We've got Robin from Toadstool Tarot. We've got the lovely Jackie Jacaranda. We've got the lovely Selkie. We've got Sandra from The Whispering Well. We've got Donna Riedler. And who else have we got? Deanne from Blue Crescent Tarot. Hi, Deanne. Ben's here. B-Jam. Hi, Ben. How you doing?
My neighbour.
Yeah. Jesse's here. Hi, Jesse. How you doing? Malamir. Justin's here. The lovely Elle.
I just
There
saw
we go.
Robin's comment and I thought
Oh.
it said my Tesco's just been delivered. And it said my taco has just been delivered. It's like Tesco.
That's a long way for them to deliver, isn't it? Oh dear. So we had Elle and we had Becca. Hi, Becca. How you doing?
Hey up, Becca.
And Debbie from Aquarius Owl. Hi, Debbie. It's jumped. Oh, but we weren't that far. So close to the end. Bear with, bear with. Richard from Longman Tarot's here. Hi, Richard. See, I'm glad I persevered, or we would have missed Richard. Masha's here as well. Hi, Masha. Must be
Hi,
quite
Matt.
early where you are, Masha. Up at the crack of dawn.
I think, is it
Jonathan
11
Daly.
hours? 11 hours different? So it could be about 8 o'clock.
Is it? Right, okay.
I think it's about 10 or 11 hours. That could be hen though, and I know there's a time difference between Marsha and hen as well, isn't there?
So I think Nerys is 11 hours.
Yeah, Marsha's 10 hours because it's 7 a.m. there. So
Right. Cool. Sadhana's here as well. Hi, Sadhana. And I think that's everyone. I think that's us. Phew. Right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We're here because Simon's very kindly agreed to join us for our next installment of Roundtable Readings. So I was going to say we're going to be able to get our grubby wee hands on Simon, but it's more like get our grubby wee cards on Simon, isn't it? So Simon, do you want to tell everyone what your question is?
yeah, and can I just say as well, this is a first for me. I've never been read publicly at all, and I've always been, well, we've spoken about it, haven't we, in the past? I've always been a little bit, about live readings. But when you asked, I thought, do you know what? Let's just go for it. We should try new things, shouldn't we? So
Yeah.
but yeah, my question is around how I can further expand my journey with the tarot, but also with my own spiritual path. So how could I further expand in those areas?
Okay. So before we get started, I just need to highlight a comment here.
Rinse him. I knew it.
Oh dear.
How did she phrase it the other day when she heard that was coming on? Probe him.
Yeah, probe him. And that was the day that I'd done the walkthrough of the Tarorama, so that was interesting timing, wasn't it? Oh dear.
She's terrible, but we love her.
Okay, so if this is anyone's first time here, the way we're going to structure this, the first thing we'll do is I'm going to pull a soul card, and we'll read it in relation to Simon's question. And soul card is always an interesting bit. It's always a bit hit and miss, I find, because there's no set meanings. Do you know what I mean? So if you're not quite sure what you're seeing, it's not like you can kind of fall back on the textbook and then just kind of find your way into the kind of intuitive part. So it can sometimes take a wee bit. So that's what we'll do first, and then we're going to kind of do the spread. And basically, I'll be putting the cut on. It would help at this point if I was to bring the cards into it, wouldn't it? There we go. So let me just. You don't need my big face there. That's more like it. So I'll move my keyboard. So we'll all be reading the cards that I'm putting down on the table, as opposed to everyone pulling their own cards, because the idea is to all learn together. So it's good if we're all kind of speaking about the same card, if that makes sense. The spread that I'm going to use for this, so because Simon's asked how can I go about doing such and such, it's that type of question where we're kind of looking for. I've just realised my top looks a bit funny on my camera. I hope that's not annoying everyone. Certainly going to annoy me. Anyway, sorry. Because it's like an action-based question, we're looking for like what should I do, that kind of thing. I'm going to use the 10-card spread from the Raven's Prophecy Tarot book. It's the one that I did the video on maybe last weekend or the week before that. So yeah, anyway, rather than just keep yapping, let's pull a wee card. So okie dokie. Okay. So this is the soul card that we've pulled for you, Simon.
Ooh.
It's quite I love the kind of vibrancy of it. I love the colours of it. It's interesting that we've got reds and oranges when we think about, well, for me, since I've kind of started learning about chakras, I've started associating the colours with the kind of colours of the 7 chakra points. So oranges and reds tend to be the kind of more lower chakras, and that's, you know, for me, that's talking more about creativity, your sense of stability, you know, more kind of earthy type state of being. Whereas it's when we start to get to the top, quite often I feel that are the more kind of like spiritual. Yeah, your more spiritual chakras, you know, like your third eye, your crown. So it's interesting that we've pulled this card right off the bat. I do love that we're seeing it almost looks like, it looks kind of crystalline, but it looks like a phoenix in in the hands of the person. And it's emerging. We're seeing something emerging, is the way that I look at it anyway. And the energy's just kind of radiating off them. Okay. So when we think about the question, how can I further, my... Tell me again your question, sorry, but how did you word that? I don't want to start misquoting it.
It was about how I can, with my tarot journey and my spiritual path, it was kind of where else can I go with it, I suppose. Okay. How can I further expand my journey with the tarot? Yeah.
Cool. So this card says to me, you've already been on quite an expansive journey. Do you know what I mean? It's not exactly starting from scratch. This looks like someone who, in the field of all things tarot and spiritual, is already very much established. I didn't need a pack of cards to tell me that, to be fair, but I'm just saying what I see. What are your thoughts on it, Simon?
Well, it's interesting because I was looking at it down here actually just to get kind of a closer look, even though it's fine where it is. When you started talking about chakras, the first thing that I was drawn to was the heart chakra there, kind of, opening up, because I kind of see that alignment of chakras from, from the crown to the root chakra. And it's very much that sort of opening up, but then of course you can't, and you picked up on it straight away, you can't hide from the fact that this fiery orange burnt sienna kind of color, which, as you said, is things that you're passionate about and things that drive you at first. And it just shows how my mind works. When you first turn the card, I kind of thought to myself, have I not burnt out, but am I at that point where I feel like, I'm just kind of, the hands are out, aren't they? And it's kind of like a stance of accepting of what's coming. The heart is also open, but having this kind of fiery red all around is very much sort of, with it being my spiritual path and my spiritual journey, it's that ignites me, that kind of sets me on fire, that pushes me forward.
Yeah.
So I see it as very open, which is, for pulling this card before a reading, I think is quite telling. And I feel that, and as I said to you, I don't mind sharing before we went live, this isn't my comfort zone. So I do feel that I'm kind of baring my soul. I'm opening my heart, and my hands are out and opening, and we'll see what comes.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It absolutely does, yeah, totally. In true Elle form, you know how Elle likes to, when we're live and stuff, Elle likes to send me messages to try and make you laugh. So I just saw this pop up on the screen whilst you were speaking, and I had to really stifle myself from laughing. Good to know you're taking it seriously, Elle.
Well, do you know what? A little side note. I've always had a big head, always, physically, not metaphorically. But my first job was at a theme park, and I got the role of the Undertaker in Cowboy Town, Silver City, and they could not get an Undertaker's hat that would fit my head. But they had to have one specially done. The wardrobe department. It was actually called a wardrobe department, and we all had costumes. They actually had to have, and it was delayed. So for about 3 or 4 weeks, I was an undertaker without a hat. Because I've got such a big head. And my nickname for my sister was Eddie when I was a teenager. Because of my big head.
Nice. By the way, guys, if you're kind of commenting on the cards, can you try and tag me or put them in capitals? It's just so that I catch them. I don't want to be missing everyone's. Capitals are probably the easiest. It means I can see them and I can highlight them where Elle's comment was there. I can see that Ishi has said her first initial impression was wise owl transmitting energy. Chris and Simon. Another thing I was going to say, and it was just whilst you were speaking, the thought kind of came into my head. So we see this kind of fiery energy, and fire quite often can be about action, but creativity, you know? And when you were saying, you know, the hands are out as though they're accepting, but sometimes when your hands are out, it's because you're putting something out there. And, like, do you think that, like, something that you might look to do as part of your path is actually create something, you know?
I never rule it out. I always used to say, I'm so uncreative, you know, I'm not a creative person. But then, you know, how do you define creativity? You know, all of us are creating things, aren't we? Whether it's something that we do in our work or our private lives, or, you know, we're always creating. But I think it's probably better to say I'm not artistic, but that's not necessarily just creating things. So yeah, I don't know what at this point, but again, I'm open to it. It's interesting. Did you say it was Jonathan that said about an owl?
Ishi.
Oh, is she? Because yeah, it does look bird-like, doesn't it? And at first, when you turned it over, and it's strange because I've got soul cards 1 and 2, as you know, and I've seen this card many times. But at first, it did look like a little bird on a perch, you know, with the hands. Until you bring it up closer from that distance where it is now, it does look like a little bird that's perched on something.
Yeah, definitely. Jonathan says the reds and yellows of the first and second chakras, the opening of the heart chakra, and the expansion of the head feels like an expansion of energies and being open to receiving that energy.
Is it the sacral orange?
Yeah, so I think your root chakra is red. So that's the very kind of bottom one, and then your sacral or sacral is the next one up, and that's orange. And then you get yellow for your solar plexus.
Solar plexus, yeah.
Jackie says orange for passion. Candy's here. Hi, Candy. How you doing? She says she sees shifting sands.
Okay.
Hi, Sheila. Donna says that's what I was thinking. It looks to me like the hands are in a giving posture.
It's very symmetrical as well, isn't it, this image?
Yeah, it's kind of pleasing to the eye that way, isn't it?
Yeah.
What was I going to say there? Yeah, because Candy says, my gosh, Simon, look at your cave. It's so creatively arranged. Of course you're creative. And one of the things I was going to say is, see when you pull a card at the end of your cup of catch-ups, like, anytime I've seen you reading cards, it's so immersive. Like, I'm gripped. And I think that's a really kind of creative thing when you're reading cards. I think there's so many different ways of looking at creativity, and there's different outlets. Do you know what I mean? Like different ways to be creative and to demonstrate your creativity. And I think it's an artistic thing as well. So when you say you're not artistic, again, I would say like I think that is art. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, arts and crafts are something that, you know, I've tried many times, and I've always been left feeling like, oh my gosh, I just can't do this. I really want to. I'd love to be able to, and I know it takes training. You know, nobody sits down and learns to play the piano, you know, in a few hours. everything takes practice, but I'd love to, I don't know, I just love to create art. It's something that, you know, and I know, again, there's going to be people say, well, everybody can create art, because you can, you know, you can, even if you splatter paint, and, you know, you can create artistically, but
Definitely. Let me just run through the content. Probably be better if I actually highlighted some of them so we could all see them. So there we go. So Diane says, hands out to receive and light shining out like the hermit. That's a good point, actually. I never even picked up on that. Justin, Taro has convinced me that I'm an artist. I never thought of myself as an artist. Now I feel like an artist. I've never been more motivated to create art. It's all thanks to Taro. Yeah.
that's great.
Selkie says, those eyes are wise. Old soul.
And I do believe in that concept of old souls and new souls.
Yeah.
There's so much that I've encountered in my life where you meet people who you could never have met before, but you know them. There's that connection there, and it's on a soul level.
Yeah.
And I think there are people, not to be disparaging, but I think there are people who walk this earth who it's their first time here. You know, I really do get a sense of that. And I do get a sense of old souls. It's something that I feel I'm drawn to people who are old souls.
Right. Some comments about creativity. There's lots of different forms of creativity. Your videos are creative. Oops. You're creating an experience for people. Sadhana, random thought, second chakra also reflects relationships. Perhaps this expansion is through or with another. Okay. So the steps are always the most daunting. It's brave to make any mark on a blank page, etc. It's the process, not the end result. Candy says, my 11-year-old son is the oldest soul that I know. We call him the Oracle.
True. It's irrespective of physical age. You know, old souls. Elle is an old soul. You only have to, you know, spend an hour in her company and sit and chat to her, and you realise she's an old soul. I sometimes think she's older than me.
Yeah. Jonathan says, art is so much more than painting and drawing. Art is the way you cook, it's the way you decorate a room, how you write, how you dress yourself. Okay, so let's move on to the Taro spread then. So I'm going to be using the universal weight for anyone that's wondering what deck I'm shuffling. So yeah, this is Simon's soul. Well, not this particular, not the universal, but
it's a nice one.
It is. I really like this. The colours are lovely. I've been kind of working with it this week. I said to Justin through the week, I was like, "Can I pull some cards for you with this?" Because I can't remember the last time I used a weightsmith, like a proper weightsmith. I know, just not something I tend to reach for. So I was like, I need to get back into it, but we'll see how we get on. But to steal a phrase from Justin, I feel as I'm, what was it, playing the piano for Elton John here. So,
no.
So you think you're nervous? We'll see how I get on.
We're nervous together. Seriously though, Chris, there's no need to be nervous around me. You're. I don't just say this lightly. You're one of the best readers. Every time you give readings, you blow my mind. So,
thank you so much. That's really sweet of you. Right. I think the cards are shuffled enough. So how can Simon further his tarot journey and spiritual journey? So You're probably starting to get to know this spread, to be honest, because I've used it a few times. But like always, I'll talk everybody through each position as we go through it. So the first one is kind of like the first card in any tarot or in most tarot spreads. It's all about Simon as a person. It can reflect, you know, what just himself. It can reflect the energy that he's putting into the question, if that makes sense. Oh, we've got an ace. We've got the Ace of Pentacles.
Great
Okay,
starting point.
not bad at all. Okay, so it's interesting, right? Because like you told me your question was earlier on today. I think it was yesterday, wasn't it? And I was kind of just thinking about it through the day, just kind of at random points. And I was thinking, I wonder if we're going to get a card coming up saying like how do you further it? Like it's like think of how much you've done. Like you've done it all. Do you know what I mean? And then we pull an ace. The very seed, the very starting point. So right away, this tells me that the way forward to start to answer your question, we're looking at something different. It's not like we're not like a halfway through a suit, do you know what I mean? Or something that you've already started and you've just kind of just keep going, Simon, just keep going. Like just blow it out the park, do something completely different, do you know what I mean? The aces link into the magician. It's that kind of inspiration, it's that initial spark. So it suggests that right now there's something in your sphere that's different, that's new, that you're probably really unsure about, that actually it's one of those wee gems that, can actually become something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And for me, with it being the first card, it's also about, with it being the Ace of Pentacles, keeping both feet firmly on the ground, and being grounded, even though any plans that I might be having will become concrete. It's kind of, I don't know, it's about having trust initially that the path that I'm on is the right path, but as things start to change, it's not to lose sight also of the plan that I have for myself, and to keep those, keep myself grounded and keep both feet firmly on the ground as
Yeah,
things start to solidify, I guess.
definitely. Yeah. And as well, I think the ace, you've probably heard me say this a million times because I always kind of say this when it comes to an ace, but it's a seed, you know. This isn't like, here you go, I'm giving you your, the growth that you're looking for, and that's you. You don't need to do anything. And it's here you go, here's this tarot deck, and that's you. That's all that you're going to need. This is a seed, this is something that you need to work on. You need to be persistent and work hard on to grow it. You've got another 9 cards to go before you reach the end of that journey. So I always like to stress whenever an ace comes up, like now is time to really kind of work hard. This is like almost it's pretty much a blank slate for you to make of whatever you want, kind of thing.
It's certainly a card that gives me optimism. It's an optimistic card, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. Jonathan says you might want to remove my comment. You can remove your own comment, Jonathan.
Oh, he means the one on the screen.
Oh, right, okay. Let's see. Okay. So again, guys, if you could either tag me or capitals for me so as that I can see. So there's Diane showing you how it's done. She says both of these cards give me some sun vibes, circular sun type face, and now the Ace of Pentacles. Definitely, yeah, that's a good point. And we see this kind of beautiful garden thriving in the sun underneath.
I always think as well, those pictures that people put on the internet where there'll be a beautiful sun and then someone's trying to push it just because the person taking the photograph always reminds me of that, this hand underneath. So I get where you're coming from with it.
Let's see.
So you said Ace of Soul cards has a survival vibes. Core of being, this journey is essential to soul as well as existence on Earth.
Who said that? Sorry, Simon.
Susie.
Oh, yeah, got you. Sadhana, being open to receiving a gift of some sort. This openness may be the key to moving in the new direction. Yeah, I absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing with an ace is, quite often it can be in a kind of blocked energy where we're not actually, there's something being offered to us and we're just not seeing it, kind of thing. Amy's listening whilst driving.
Hi, Amy. Safe travel.
Sandy ground, the beach, a move to the coast, a beach house. Can I visit? You're moving to the coast.
Visit in return and use your hot tub.
That's right, Candy's got a hot tub.
Yeah.
Is there something I can help you with?
Sorry.
Sorry. Quite a literal interpretation from me, but the refreshing or start of a new skill, interest, or gift. Yep. Be open to receive. Okay. So that seems to be, if I've missed anything, then just put it again for me. But yeah, so starting off with an ace, it's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. Now, the next card, the crossing card, is kind of so this could be an event that's coming up. Equally, though, it could also speak to environmental factors. So I like to think of it as like you've got the situation in the middle, you've got Simon, and then you've got everything else, the outside world. The first card is basically what Simon's kind of projecting onto the situation or the question, and then the second card is like the input from everything else. That's how I think about it in my mind. Oh, okay, well, I've got the Five of Swords. Okay, so right, what are we seeing here then? Because there's you've got two completely opposite, well, almost completely opposite energies. You're going from earth to air. You're going from, potential, all this positivity, and then you've got this kind of instability. Okay, so it's like you're being offered something, but it's like in your head you're just not sure about it. And you know what? Remove the banner. Right.
Can I just throw in a quote? You know how we used to do a Quarren stream and there'll be a quote of the day?
Yeah.
It sticks in my mind for this card and it's stuck with me because Five of Swords, it's a positive slant to it, but no man is an island. And that comes to me because, we can be so overwhelmed sometimes, can't we, in the belief that we must struggle and we must fight for survival.
Yeah.
And we don't. So in relation to the question, no man is an island, kind of connects.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Another thing as well, sometimes with this card, it's kind of links. It really links into what you just said, that no man is an island thing. Sometimes when you're in this zone, you find yourself wanting to do everything. This guy, he feels as though he's won the battle, right? But see, when you think about it, like he's disarmed these two guys. Is he now going to have to protect the entire kingdom himself? We've seen it in other decks. Like I love this, the Five of Blades and the Everyday Enchantment with the chef who's now got to cut 3 times as many vegetables, all because he got himself into an argument and he wanted to do it himself. He wanted to win. Winning was almost more important than the actual output, than the the situation. He kind of lost sight of the situation because, in that case, his ego got in the way. Do you know what I mean? But whether it's the ego, whether it's being up in your head, whatever it is, it's important to, as much as we all go through these Five of Swords moments, every now and then we need to come back down and actually look at the situation that's unfolding in front of us in our tangible world. As much as, me and you and everyone in our kind of sphere, we like to think about the psychology and the spirituality. We like to be very kind of watery and airy and fiery, but they all come together to make Earth. Everything comes together on Earth. If you're not looking after yourself and that kind of thing, then there's no point in all the other stuff, because none of them can survive without the other.
Exactly. It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, isn't it? That base that you need, that's your pentacles, that's your your physical, your material, the roof over your head, the clothes on your back, the food in your belly, all that we need to survive is very much the pentacles. It's interesting when you mentioned the everyday enchantment, because for me, particularly if we've got damaged trust in other people, and then it leads us to believe that we can only really rely on ourselves. And I think of that card in Everyday Enchantment, where a chef is that sort of person that you'll have sous chefs and you'll have cooks, but they ultimately believe they're king of that castle, and if anything's going to be worth doing, they do it themselves, and nobody else comes up to their standards sometimes. So therefore he's ended up with so much work on his plate, because is not been able to, whether that's because of damaged trust, but that sort of belief that you can only rely on yourself to do something. So I'm trying to link it to my question though. So I guess it's really about, again, with the soul cards, opening myself up a bit more, rather than, and I've quite enjoyed having a solitary practice, because I've found that beneficial over the last few years, rather than trying to fit in or assimilate with other spiritual groups. Yeah.
But I mean, I know you say that your practice is mostly solitary, but I mean, look at what you've created. Look at the Hermit's Cave. Look at your channel. Do you know what I mean? That's no solitary. That's a massive community, and you're the glue that holds it all together. How many times have you heard me say that expression? You're probably sick of that, but I mean,
I get what you're saying. I suppose I was thinking more of the ritualistic practices that I do. But you're absolutely right, because this is part of my spiritual journey as well. And it was about expanding my practice with tarot and my spiritual path.
Yeah. Let's have a wee look and see what our...
I'll just have a look.
So... bit of a shitter, that, says Elle. It's just like the comical commentary, isn't it?
We ought to get Elle to do readings one time. Can you imagine?
I've invited Elle on my channel to do readings with me, so I invited her, and she said she would. So watch this space one of these days, people.
That would be really the yin and yang, wouldn't it?
Oh dear. Hi, Leander. Let's see. Robin says clouds again. Yes, opposites, but fives are the bridge to the higher numbers. It feels like a fast forward, ace to 5 to the next stages. Yeah, that's a good point. So fives, it is that bridge. It's that change in that change in dynamic that makes the fives the unstable number, isn't it? It makes them about instability.
It's the disruption element, isn't it, that comes in? Yeah.
Yep. This time it seems like the clouds might be dispersing. Okay, I can see what you mean. Although Where else are you seeing clouds, Robin? Are you talking about the clouds with in the hand? Let's see. What battles are you willing to walk away from to enter that new start? Asks Candy.
I like to think that I've walked away from all battles, really. I really have got to that point in my life now where I just think I'm more placid now. I suppose it's a case of choosing battles more carefully or wisely, but I'm also at that point where I ain't got time for any sort of battles or squabbling. I just kind of either just say, all right, whatever, or I just walk away.
Yeah. I suppose not all battles are external though. Sometimes it's like it's an internal battle, you know. And quite often I think this is about getting in your own way, you know. The picture on it makes you think of a fight where there's a winner and a loser. Sometimes that's all, and this is why I keep saying the phrase "getting up in your head" because
It's
you know,
swords.
yeah. As she's talking about the colours, if we were to stick with the colours, white of purity and warm of soul, pointing out the orange tones in the soul card, the golden pentacle, and the red and yellow tones in the clothing, and the 5. Sadhana, releasing that inner turmoil is the path to the next steps. Okay, I see that, Robin. The winds of change are blowing the clouds away, clearing the view. Don't sign something off as a likely defeat before you've given it a go. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. So I can't remember why this is in my head. I don't know if it was I was reading something about something, but so see when I was saying sometimes it's these little gems that you don't. Oh, I know why. Because I filmed my walk through the Starman Tarot yesterday, and when I was reading about the Magician, which in that deck is called the Starman, they were talking about how Bowie quite often he was really good. You know how you get like sometimes you get all these ideas, all this big mix of ideas, and you've got to be selective about what ones you pick out. And some of them, you know, they look absolutely amazing and they don't come to anything. And some of them they look kind of meh, and then they turn out to be wee gems. You know, they really kind of can take you far. And that's what I was talking about when I referred to this as like a little gem that you can really make something of. And that's what that's just made me think of. It's like, you know, don't sign something. So Kimberly said, don't sign something off as a likely defeat before you've given it a go. You know, so it's like that. You know, those ace moments, that big pot of ideas, that pot of potential. You know, the thing that's going to take you forward might not necessarily be the thing that you first reach for, or that you most intuitively reach for. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Could it be about sharing skills with others for more material needs? A new business? Asks Sue.
Sharing skills with others for more material needs. I'm not quite sure I get what Sue means. Sharing skills with others for more material needs. I suppose the new business bit is the material aspect.
Yeah. Hi, Kristen.
You were writing that off earlier.
What's that, sorry?
Candy, she's like, yes, like creativity. You were writing that off earlier. Called out.
Simon is charming and disarming, figuratively and literally. Oh, yeah, sorry, you know, do you know what I'll do? See, next time I've got you speaking on a roll, I will quickly put your question on a banner. Five of Swords is a battle of the mind, says Donna. Yep, agreed. Like creative. Yeah, sorry, you pointed that one out. Collaboration on a business venture, says Donna. Okay. Right, let's move on to the next card. But keep your thoughts coming. And again, guys, if you can try and put them in capitals or tag me, preferably capitals if it's letting you post it that way. That way it's easy for me to see on the StreamYard chat. The next cards, or the next two cards, are conscious and unconscious. So the conscious cards, it's basically like what is Simon looking at right now? What's in the forefront of his mind when he thinks, when he wakes up in the morning and asks himself, how do I further my tarot journey and or my spiritual journey? What are the first things that pops into his mind and what is he planning to do right now, essentially? So Page of Swords, we've got, let me hold it up so as we can all see it. So the Page of Swords, what jumps out at me right away is the intellectual side of it. You know, it's the being open to learning new things, like learning the technicalities of new stuff. So going to the books, going to maybe not the library, not in this day and age, but going to the internet and trying to gain new knowledge on something that, you know, perhaps that you've not approached already. And that kind of ties in nicely with the ace. All right. So when we looked at the Simon card was an ace. And then the card that represents the forefront of Simon's mind is a page. So that tells me that you're wanting to do something completely new. You want to change it up. It's like you're looking for that kind of novelty, you know. That's what I see right away in that card. So what do you think, Simon?
Yeah, for me, with the Page of Swords, it's about becoming a student again, but not in the traditional formal sense, you know, in terms of going to a university or a college or anything like that. But we often hear that thing about the university of life, don't we, and stuff like that. But it's about really, again. It's incredible how these are all kind of linking, but that about being open, receptive to learning. I'm a big advocate of lifelong learning. You know, I put myself through college when I was 33. After a period of illness, I did retraining for a year to have a complete career change, and I've always been a big advocate for it. So, but that was in a more kind of traditional setting of college and everything like that. But for me, the Page of Swords is about, like you said, about being somebody who is open to learning and studying and going in new directions, but also allowing yourself to enter into that mind state of becoming almost like an apprentice, you know, following a new direction and learning right from the basics.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing with the Page of Swords is they're an innovative character. They are problem solvers. They find really interesting and new solutions to problems.
You and I both have the same significator card in the tarot, don't we? Which is a page.
Yep.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, the Page of Cups.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he's going to make an appearance here.
He's probably the unconscious.
We'll see. Let's see. A new idea. Hi, Kristen, by the way. I can't remember if I said hello to you. Right, okay, so Donna says a new idea. Jackie says more swords. Yep. So I don't think that's to do with the card.
I can't find where you are on this, but I can see a few more in capitals as well.
Cool. She says less guarded than the Five of Swords. Antoinette says something new on Simon's horizons. Regina, research, sorting what is useful and what is not. Simon saying yes, RWS, no thought, as an example. So this was the conscious position. So this is basically what, Simon's aims and how he sees the situation right now, what's in the forefront of his mind.
I've just had a mind blown moment, and I don't talk to, and I won't. I keep work life separate. But there's a comment here from Donna Riedler, which is just light bulb moment where we're actually looking at something very much like that. But that's more from a professional side.
Right, okay. Jackie had suggested an online course. Deanne, inspired thought and excitement about learning something new. Conscious, birds flying over the page's head as new ideas flitting around Simon's mind. Maybe you're going to start a school, Simon, says Donna. Is that the comment you're talking about? All four cards are open expanses, more reds, yellow, and white, and yes, those sweeping clouds, says Ashley. Simon is a thinking man's thinker, but I think he underestimates his evolution, says Robin. Maybe you will write a tarot book, says Candy. If the Empress comes out for unconscious, perhaps it's drawing a deck. Brackets, please be the Empress. Well, we Elsie's Headmaster Harrison. Nice bit of, what's it called, alliteration? Is that it when you've got the same letter? I can never remember. I was terrible at English. Oh, it's a secret. Oh, well, thanks very much for that, Deanne. Now we're all going to be wondering. Okay, the next position is the unconscious. So that these are the kind of things that are under the surface. The things about the question that are still very much perhaps on Simon's mind, but not at the forefront. So these are the things that are not going to be as obvious. They're not going to be as stick outy. And we've got the business as usual card. We've got the Eight of Pentacles. Let me hold it up. I'm terrible at this, holding the cards up, aren't I? Okay, so interesting, because we've got the conscious, which is on something, starting something new, becoming a student, learning something completely different. And then we've got the unconscious, seems to be being a contrary wee bitch, and is like, keep doing the same thing. I'm the master. We do see creativity. So Candy, maybe you've kind of got what you wanted there. But it's the stark difference. And again, earth, air, air, earth. It's these two for me are really opposite energies. So, I mean, if we just think about that for a minute, the fact that your conscious mind and your unconscious mind don't really seem to be singing from the same hymn sheet. What do we think about that?
I get it. I think the thing that holds me back sometimes is what I think is going to be involved to get to where I want to go. I'm not saying that I'm work shy or, I don't want to put the effort in. I do. But it's very much, you know, with the Eight of Coins, it's very much sort of sweat and toil and struggle now and reap the rewards later. And I don't know, maybe it's just because at this moment in time, with everything I've got going on, that just feels a little bit, and for it being the unconscious card, I think that deep down, if I was to really go into that, I would think I just can't, you know, I can't put that amount of diligence and commitment in, but I know that I have to get where I need to go. You know, the hard work and diligence and struggling now to reap the rewards later, but maybe that's why it's kind of in the shadow.
Yeah, I see exactly what you mean. One of the things I always say about the Page of Swords, the student, yep, you know, his tool is his intellect and his ability to penetrate the world and understand it. That's what the Ace of Swords is discovering. His ability to, you know, understand the world. But with the page, quite often there comes a wee bit of immaturity. And when we're in our overwhelmingly page kind of persona, sometimes we get all excited. You know, when we get like one wee piece of information, we think we know it all. You know, we've barely scratched the surface if we've even touched the surface at all. But the Page of Swords is like that kind of, you know, you tell him one wee bit of the story, and then he's gone to his pal over here, and he's telling, oh, did you hear about Simon? Wait till I tell you this story. And then he's got, from that one wee bit of information, that one small part of the facts, he welds this big made up story, you know. Quite often that can be Page of Swords energy. And I promise that this did relate to what you were saying and what we were talking about, but I've kind of managed to make myself forget what my point was. But oh, where was I going with that? It was really good as well. You just need to take my word for it that I was being very intelligent. I think it was just like when you're talking about like, so your head is like, right, okay, I need to kind of start this thing. And you know, your conscious mind can process, was it 11 bits of information, and your unconscious mind something like 11,000 or 11 million or a shitload more than your conscious mind can anyway, right?
Yeah.
So your conscious mind is like, all right, like this is what I want to do. I want to start something new. Brilliant. In the background, your unconscious is kind of like, but I like being the master. I like knowing exactly what I'm doing. I like being able to just kind of get in there and do it without even having to think about it. You know, look at all these pentacles I can make without even thinking about it. And you want to turn me into a Page of Swords? You know, you want me to actually have to start thinking and learning something new? Are you kidding me on? You know, it's that kind of inner toil with yourself.
And that's perfect, because Jonathan's come up with a comment as well, and he's spot on. But yesterday I was stuck in traffic for about 2 hours, and I put the radio on, and it was Steve Wright, and he was talking, and they have these little true facts that are actually true facts. You know, they've researched them, and we have in our inner dialogue 4,000 words per minute, or you can't consciously, you know, that's too many per second. So we can't consciously be aware of that. We're aware of the top level dialogue, but then think of all those other words that are still going through our brain that is there helping to feed that unconscious. So I get it. I really get it with what you were saying. And for me, you know, the Eight of Coins guarantees success. I always say to people when I do readings and I pull this card, success is guaranteed, but it might not be what you set out to achieve, you know. But you still, if you're prepared to put in the work and the effort, you will get success. But just be mindful that it might not be exactly as you envisaged it would be.
Yeah. Cool. Kristen commented on the Page of Swords. Should say, taking what you learn from the Ten of Swords and start on your next phase of development. New ways of communicating to your wisdom to others, or a different way to communicate with the divine.
I like that progression from the 10.
Yeah. Let's see. Who said that? Somebody said you better work this, girl. Was it Robin? Did Robin say you better work this, girl?
Work it, bitch.
I've lost. I've lost. I've lost where we are on the chat.
Oh, there's some.
Oh, there it is. It was Robin. You better work, girl.
That seems to be the quote of the week, doesn't it, Chris?
Yeah. No, where's that come from? You need a challenge, says Selke. I'm still getting business vibes, says Sue. What skills do you have that you want to share with others in a business context?
It was only last year I closed down my business. Right at the start of the pandemic, end of March last year. So a year yesterday, I closed down my business.
Oh, well. Changes with what you're already doing. Sadness says, can't get enough of those Scottish fills. Oh, listen to me long enough, Sadness, and you'll be like, oh my goodness, no more. Regina, unconscious is interesting. It's like unconsciously you already know and are practicing the thing that you think you need to learn. Now that's an interesting way to look at it. Find a way to use your skills in a new way. So does Simon not feel like he knows enough, has enough skills, self-doubt? Jonathan asks.
That's the comment I was on about. I think
Right.
There's that whole imposter syndrome, isn't there? And I think most people, not everyone, but I think a lot of people deal with that in some way, in some form.
Yeah, definitely. Remember the Ace of Pence. You've already done the work. Now you are using it for a new path, says Sue. He's making many coins, striking and stamping them over and over. A fear of spinning your wheels, of not being able to look up from your current work to what comes next. Sadhana, Page of Swords is like a kid with a chef's knife. Watch out. I think I'm quite far behind, so I'm going to try and speed through these. It could be changes with what you're already doing rather than a totally new path. Regina, to break it down, maybe together this means it's more like what seems new is actually a transferable skill, using something known in a different way.
Wait till you get to Jackie's.
Oh gosh. The polishing of a skill can be done in 15 minutes of dedication to it a day, which keeps it fresh, says Ish. People are really wanting you to start a new business here, Simon. Can I just say?
Oh my goodness, the thought of that at the minute.
Creative attempts need to be on display to show yourself how you advance. Maybe it's about starting a school, and that as the spiritual path relates to the fact that this is work you're already doing. Has there been a situation recently where you've picked up the slack, picked up what someone else has forgotten or rejected or given up on? Probably not, just had to ask. I'm well excited for Jackie's comment here. busying yourself so you don't have to take up that sword, perhaps trying to avoid or find another way that won't involve taking up the sword to your advantage or potential downfall. Okay. Simon should work at pitching in his first get up.
Do you get what we're referring to now when we keep saying work it, bitch?
Yeah. I remembered it was me that said that. I couldn't quite remember what context I'd said it in.
You pulled a card for me the other night, and your
right.
parting comment was "work it, bitch."
That's right. Well, what else do you say to a man in a horse outfit? So perhaps the pen/word may need to be more powerful than the sword. That can take practice too. Not that I personally see Simon as unskillful. Perhaps this is an internal struggle. Preparing for the 9 of Pentacles, be secure in your worth and work. Robin says, I think it's a new deck. He's already got the organisational skills, spent journaling in modern decks. Need to start compiling copyright-free graphics and folders for use in a deck of his own making. Oh, and I'm at the bottom. No, I'm not, because we've got a new comment. What I meant with my previous comment is it may be something charitable that would feed your spiritual side rather than a business.
Yeah, I can see that. And just to clarify as well, before you because I did what you did, you know, sometimes you're talking, you want to get to a point. I realized I didn't really get to it. When I said about, you know, you put in the hard work and the effort and the determination, and sometimes you get the results, but it might not be the success that you was envisaging. I think the success is, with this card in particular, with the 8 of coins or pentacles, the success is in the diligence and the determination and the commitment and the actual doing, you know. So whilst that might be daunting, and in my sort of unconscious, I'm thinking where I want to be, but also a bit worried about the commitment it's going to take, that would be the success, you know, not necessarily the end result, but actually committing to it.
Yeah, yeah. And I often think with all of the 8s, you know, the 8s are very kind of, I say this all the time, it's like it's stability giving rise to progression, and not just progression, but it's like transcendence. It's like you've created this. So 8 is like the double 4, you know, which is where stability comes from for me. You know, you've created this system, you know, this is like he doesn't even have to think about what he's doing anymore. He's churning out these pentacles like nobody's business, you know. He's made an absolute art of it. That stability gives rise to, you know, you can progress in ways that you never thought possible before. And it's like what you said there just really kind of triggered that for me. It's like, you know, it might not necessarily be the success that you expect, but it's a success nonetheless. The 8s for me are often speak about that, you know. It's telling you, you set your mind out to open up one wee tarot shop, you know. The 8 is like, do you know what? Do you know what's going to happen? You're not just going to open up one wee shop. You're going to open up a big chain of shops, and you're going to have shops all over the UK. It's that kind of a, like, that's what your aim is, and this is basically what you have the potential to do, you know. So it's like, what, you know, when you say, you know, the success you get might not be the success that you planned for. I think that's a really positive thing when we see cards like the 8 of Wands and the 8 of Pentacles come up. So, becoming a creator and connected to elemental energies and sharing them to be of use to others. Okay. So that's conscious and unconscious. Now, the next 4 cards really we're going to start brainstorming, what are we going to do? What are we not going to do? So the next card is, what do you think is the way forward? What do you think you should do? What do you think is going to help the situation? Okay. We've got the Strength card.
Ooh. First major.
So it is. Right enough. It's nice to see a different elemental energy coming through. Because so far it's, we've been up in our head with the air and down on the ground with, no, yeah, up in our head with the air and down on the ground with the earth element. It's nice to see this kind of fiery Leo energy coming through. Strength, for me, is first and foremost about confidence and how you wield your confidence. Strength for different people means different things. Sometimes the strength card is coming up and telling you, right, do you know what? We all know, we've heard you say it. You need to tame that lion a wee bit. Equally, sometimes the strength card is coming up to say, be proud. Let that lion out. Shout it from the rooftops. Do you know what I mean? Either which way, it's all about confidence. It's all about putting yourself out there. What do you see the strength card as being about? What are you?
So I think it's one of the most, until you study tarot, I think it's one of the most misrepresented, because particularly when you see an image like this where she's prizing the draw, showing strength, when actually the strength card is more about inner strength than it is about outer strength. And if we're talking about inner strength, it also brings in courage. And I always remember that because there's the lion, wanting courage, the cowardly lion from Wizard of Oz wanting courage. So for me, it's about, inner strength being more important than outer strength. And that strength will come, but it starts with having courage in your convictions, courage to be who you are, and making no apologies for that, just courage to be and to do what you want to do.
Yep.
That's where it starts.
Definitely. One question that kind of comes to my mind in seeing this, because quite often I see the strength card as the kind of the I'm coming out card. How many times is it Diana Ross or whoever it is that sings that song? I always associate that song with that card. It's basically like I've got to, because, and I think you kind of touched on it there. Courage and confidence. This isn't the lion is supposed to represent an aspect of the self. This isn't someone who's literally wrestling with a lion. The lion is part of her, and we kind of see it not really well represented in this deck because it just looks like the lion's mane, but she's supposed to be connected to the lion by her belt. So this is like, all of those parts of herself that she's previously been ashamed of or she's hidden. So for me, when this card comes up for me, it's like, right, stop being in the tarot closet, stop being, there's nothing to be ashamed of, just kind of let everyone see who you are, be confident in yourself kind of thing.
Yeah.
So where am I going with this? We're getting there. It's where I want to ask, like, do you want to put yourself out there in a way that you haven't before? Is that maybe the next step? Do you know what I mean? Because I know what it would mean for me in this position.
I think it's about integrity as well. If you think strength, compassion, wisdom, integrity, they're such important human qualities, to possess. But yeah, you're absolutely right. When you said it's about not shying away, and if it's for you, if being a tarot reader, be proud of that, because you're good at it, like we said at the beginning, you know. So have that integrity, you know, and that courage and the strength to be who you are, and unapologetically so, you know.
Yeah. So Candice's strength is really talking about effort and confidence and action, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um,
And being able to handle yourself in whatever situation that you find yourself in, you know.
yeah. Yeah, what's the don't swat a fly with a sledgehammer, but don't try and swat it with a feather either. Robin's pointing out the eights. So we had the 8, we've now got strength as card 8, and the lemniscate is the 8 on its side. This is pointing to something big, isn't it? All these skills, courage, believing in yourself.
Yeah. Courage and conviction and kind of strength of character. The two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's about a Leo. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Leo. Okay, yes, I am. I will email you encouraging things as always, Simon, until I hear you roar. Says Neem.
For that.
Oops. I was thinking stepping out into the sun. Guess I'm back on my sun vibe, says Deanne.
Deanne bringing the sunshine.
Yeah. The lion as the skills lined up, trained into alignment towards purpose, says Regina. We've jumped. I'm hearing from Simon that he's reading this more towards the spiritual journey than his tarot, although I understand the intermingle. Is there an aspect to go deeper with? Says Ishi.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose when I was thinking of the question, I was going to say, how can I further expand with the tarot? But for me, they are interdependent. You know, tarot is such a huge part of my spiritual path anyway. I just broadened it a bit.
Yeah. I've just realised the time, by the way. Oh, hi, Hen. I didn't realise we've been on for like an hour and 20 minutes.
It's flying by.
I know. Don't cut a mandala with the page's big knife. Use a little chisel, says Candy. Confidence to complete the application.
Singing, "Here comes the sun, doody doo."
Thank you for that, Ishi. Sure, we all appreciate the earworm.
Now, yeah.
The next card is, you know, what do you think will hinder the situation? So, what are you kind of veering away from? Okay, so 5 of Cups.
Had to be.
Okay. So you said had to be. What does this kind of?
For me, it's about healing.
Right.
So if we're talking about hindering situations, I think it's about healing from things. And this card in particular always shows the focus on what's lost, doesn't it? Rather than what is still remained. You know, the back is turned on the upturned cup. So it's about shifting your focus, really.
Yeah. Interesting, because to have this in a position that's talking about what you think is going to hinder the situation, and we do see this kind of grieving person. We see this person who is focused on what's lost. And I think quite often when we're in this 5 of Cups situation, which I'm sure we've all experienced, we tell ourselves, I need to focus on the positive. How many times have you heard that expression? You need to focus on the positives. It's kind of like an automatic thing that people say, isn't it? And sometimes it's like, do you know what? I don't want to fucking focus on the positives. I want to be in myself. I want to be in my own emotions. And I want to deal with whatever it is. I want to deal with these 3 spilt cups in the way that I need to deal with them, you know? So quite often when, oh, sorry. No, on you go.
I was just going to say, because when I said about healing, if you focus on it, that's how you heal, really. You don't just, because all you'd be doing then is turning your back on that to focus on the other, and they're still there, you know, still needs to be dealt with. And when you truly heal from something, then you open yourself up for the new, because you've dealt with it, you know. Because if you don't deal with it and you don't heal from it, then you can't open yourself up to the new. And it goes back again for me to that soul card at the beginning, that opening up, that heart expanding, the hands outwards.
Okay, so Robin's dwelling on the negatives instead of appreciating the positives. Just trying to... So we've got thinking about the 8 of Pentacles, strength. Maybe this is about new daily ritual work, furthering the practice by just doing more. Okay, Candy says, Simon, look at the direction of all the cups. Looking back, the only one facing forwards is the one focusing on using skills. So looking at all the cards, yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. That's really perceptive, actually. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. Do you use direction a lot when you kind of read?
Yeah, and you know, for those in the chat that I've given readings to, they'll know that when I lay them out, particularly if I'm doing like year aheads, I'm saying, just look in relation to how June is with July, you know. And yeah, I like to do that. I like to see how they follow on or how they link back.
Yeah. Okay. And just kind of following on from that, I mean, just looking at the direction that we see here, that's as a kind of looking back direction rather than looking forwards. So again, it's like it's as if you're telling yourself, I need to avoid looking back in order to move forwards. Sometimes though, looking back lets you see more clearly the path ahead, you know, looking at where you've been lets you see the path ahead more clearly. I'm sure that's a Gandalf quote.
And I'm very much, and you'll know, Chris, you know, I talk about it all the time about only having the present moment, and the past is just a memory. That's all it is. That's all we've got now, memory traces. But it's still important to learn in the moment, so that when we get into the next moment, it might be the past, but we've learned a lesson. We don't live there anymore, but we've taken something from it as we journey towards our future.
Yeah.
But that card in particular for me, whenever I see it, it's not just about, but primarily it's about that sort of healing, whether it's from grief. It's certainly an emotional, because it's cups, you know, it's healing from that emotional trauma, but not to dwell there.
Yeah.
The work has got to be done.
Yeah.
To make space, you know, as we said.
Mm-hmm. Jonathan says it's all about crossing that bridge back into living life to the fullest, embracing both sides of life.
Yeah, I love that little bridge.
Yeah. There has to be a time when you finally say the healing is done and pick up those new cups. There is strength in allowing yourself time to heal. There's a skill that we practice not to linger too long there and letting it drag us down and dim our light, There is so much. There is there is so much light in this spread. I don't know why I was having trouble with that sentence. Sorry, issue. Let's see. The water from the cups are flowing to the strength card. Your grief and healing will feed your strength. Each new day is yesterday's tomorrow. Now is all we have. Now is all we want. Now is all we need. Now, a quote from Moondog, says Robin.
I don't know who Moondog is, but that's a fantastic quote. I like that. I'm going to come back and write that in my journal.
Another link I keep seeing is the soul cards. The sand pattern now feels like the lion's mane from the strength card. Cloak yourself in strength.
Candy.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
It is pretty cool.
Donna's off for the night. See you later, Donna. Thanks very much for popping in.
Bye, Donna.
Okay, so the next card is what is actually going to help the situation, and it's really what I find. So the next two cards is what's actually going to help and what's actually going to hinder. So I love looking at the kind of like these two and these two together. I find they're really interesting to kind of compare and bounce off each other. So what card do you think it is?
Have you already pulled it? Oh,
yeah.
God.
This is what is actually going to help.
Wow. Firm foundations, can't rock them.
I
It's
think
a wake-up call, isn't it? That's probably what's going to help, a wake-up call.
Wake-up call, and I'm coming back to like the kind of the page energy and the ace energy, and now we've got this tower that seems to be kind of giving way for that to happen. You know, it's like almost like, you know, clearing the all the debris and fertilizing the ground to let something actually grow. You know, and you know, yeah, it's painful as shit to get hit with that lightning, but you know, it's something that sometimes we just can't avoid. Clears us of all that kind of devil energy, and just, you know, it teaches us a lot as well, because with the tower, it's not just about, yeah, okay, I'm having a shit time, let's move on to the next card. You know, it teaches us about how to salvage, you know, how to look at what's, you know, what's fallen, and say, right, okay, I can take this forward. This is probably something that I can leave behind. You know, it lets you take a really kind of fresh look at the way things have been, and it just enables you, I think, to make that choice to say, right, I'm choosing to leave that behind. Whereas if it's part of, you know, your tower, your structure that you've built, and that you're so proud of, you know, you're like, there's no way that I'm leaving that big golden crown behind. That's my big golden crown, and I love it sitting on the top of my tower. But when it's blasted off, when it's lying in the ground, you know, you can actually see it for what it is. What even is it? Is it a crown? I'm calling it a crown. It looks like a crown, but
yeah,
you know. So you said a wake-up call when I pulled this card.
Yeah, for me, you know, the tower's about upheaval and it's about change.
Yeah.
And it's never nice when we're in our tower moments, but actually, you know, I've been through some times in my life that have been real tower moments, particularly when I was in my early 30s, and I used to live in constant fear of going back to that time. What if I end up back there again? What if I end up? And this is what I was talking about earlier with the Five of Cups, you know, about dwelling on the past and instead of dealing with it, healing with it and moving on. But actually, if I had my life again, I wouldn't take that out, because those moments are what shape you and define you. And yes, you know, it might look chaotic when you're right up close. It's like, you know, if you open a newspaper and you see a photograph in that newspaper and you put it right in front of your eyes, all you see is random dots. You see chaos. And it's when you step back from it that it forms a beautiful, clear picture. And that's the same with our tower moment. You know, we get to a certain point in the future and we look back and we see why it happened. And then we see where we are now as a result of that. And whilst they're not nice to go through it, it's a beneficial thing. So it's when I said a wake-up call, you know, it's like, if I'm asking the question about how I can expand, then maybe that upheaval and that dramatic change is what will be the catalyst for it. And my attitude towards the Tower card needs to change, because, you know, if you're prepared as much as you can be, the Tower has firm foundations. Everything above the foundations may crack and crumble away. But if your foundations are solid, you can quickly build again, you know? So it's also about being prepared for those moments as best we can be, because we never know when they're going to come. So, you know, we work on ourselves now, particularly if we've been through tower moments in the past, to prepare for them.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. When we look at it, you know, together with the strength card, strength is what we think is going to help. The tower is what is actually going to help. What strikes me as an interesting contrast between the two, and this is, you know, this is like kind of coming back to the question, you know, about furthering your tarot and spiritual journey. Strength is building something up, you know. It's, you know, building your confidence. She's kind of nurturing that line almost, you know. It's quite a kind of positive character building card. The tower, on the other hand, is removing something, you know. It's blasting things apart. It's throwing, you know, energy at the situation, and not everything is going to survive the tower moment. So this makes me think, do you actually need to take something out? Is there something that you're doing right now that's not serving your, you know, ultimately your goals spiritually, and you know, on that journey, your spiritual journey, your tarot journey? Is there something there that, you know, maybe, and it might be quite an unfair question to pose of you just now, because, well, like you've just kind of eloquently pointed out, when you are this close up to it, all you see is pixels.
I think instead of taking something out, well, maybe I do feel sometimes that we can get quite comfortable and we can get in a position of feeling stagnant. So what better than a tower moment to shake things up and make you re-look at it, you know, your path, your journey. Are you still on course with what you're intending to do, or have you kind of lost your way a bit, or stop for a rest at the side of the road and, you know, just enjoying the tranquility? Because that's, we don't always grow in those moments, do we?
Yeah. Let's have a look at some of the comments. So Ashley says equanimity, seeing things as they truly are. Up to the Five of Cups. What was that, sorry?
She's up to the Five of Cups.
So Neem says, I've been considering giving a little less to the community and pouring into yourself. Asking because you give, we take. You don't want to stop because you don't want to disappoint us all.
That's interesting. I do feel I've stepped back a little bit recently, but I've had to, just because of personal stuff that's going on. But, you know, when quarantine streams were happening and I was going live every day, every weekday, and then the couple would catch up on Saturday, and I probably did a pre-recorded on a Sunday. I was give. But, you know, last week I didn't record anything, you know, between two lives each Saturday. So with anybody who can look back over the last 4 years will see there'll be chunks where I've done lots, and then there'll be a few weeks where there's been less. And that's just because life gets in the way sometimes. But I don't feel, in answer to what Issue was saying, I don't feel, or was it Neem?
Neem. Neem said that, yeah.
Sorry, Neem. I don't feel that the community is taking anything. You know, I give, but I also receive such a lot. So I certainly don't feel it's one-sided.
Okay. But it was an interesting thought, so it was. So acceptance of transformation. Neem says, if you need a day off, we will bear with one day. Firm foundations, but shake up the routine. Don't get stuck in a rut, says Ish. Oh dear, where are we? Oh gosh, there's quite a lot of comments, right? Tear that shit down, says Kristen. You're coming up for the star next. Jump out of that cave, Simon. Says Candy.
I'm on the 19th floor, Candy.
Yeah, I was going to say. I used to view the tower as negative. Now I see it and view it as a positive, a breakthrough. I think in hindsight, the tower is positive. When you're coming up to it, it's terrifying. When you're in that, it's like, you know, it's like the shit hitting the fan card, isn't it? But definitely, like hindsight, quite often, you know, I agree. Turn the soul card upside down, please, for a spell, says Ish. So you see it. Jonathan says stripping away the illusions will help the most and push you to a new leap of faith. Shadowed Woodland, hi there, how you doing? I always feel the tower feels like stepping outside after a rainstorm, says Kimberly. They shape and define you because we're programmed and hardwired to learn from the mistakes and not focus on the beauty around us, says Ish. Candy. Geez, and now the soul card figure as the central tower. It's two little wings. The figure's falling out. Cloak yourself in strength for the changes to embrace the new.
Yeah, I saw that more when it was the right way round, because I read that a couple of minutes ago when Candy said that, and I was like, this soul card was perfect. This was a perfect soul card for the reading, because it's relating to all the cards, isn't it, so far?
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's one of the more kind of vibrant soul cards as well. Sometimes you get them and they can be quite dark and they can have really quite dark energy, like kind of going through them. But no, this is a lovely one. Oh, sorry, that's not. The crown in Christian iconography symbolizes eternal life. Blowing off that crown, face that you only have so much time to be who you are meant to be.
It's true.
Think of the tower as a breakthrough. Oops. This one. Yeah. Fun fact, the tower in Lenormand is number 19 and it signifies reflection, among other things. Yeah. So the tower, I think, in Lenormand is like the kind of institution card. Is that right, Deanne? I need to brush up on my Lenormand. I'm going to start learning. I think I'm going to take Kelly's class on it.
Are you?
I think so, yeah. Changes is at a deep level. I see that lion more now in the soul card, as she's saying. Soul card looks like a Sephirim. I know nothing about angels, so not sure if that could mean anything. Okay, so with the tower, what is actually going to help? The next thing is what is actually going to hinder. And again, it'll be interesting to, to see how this kind of fits in.
My life path card.
The lovers. What is actually going to hinder is the lovers. So, right, I'm going to do what I did the last time this came up in a roundtable reading. I'm going to ask you your thoughts on this first because my interpretation of the lovers is really quite different from I think most, and I don't really want to throw a spanner in the works right at the start, if that makes sense. So, what do you see that as meaning?
In relation to the question,
Yep.
What's going to hinder? Not having that relationship with myself, first and foremost, could hinder, I guess. I always remember feeling so disappointed when I worked out my life path card and it turned out to be the lovers. But, the lovers is always about choices. We have to remember that. And if we think of the before RWS, the lovers card, was about choice, the 3 figures in there and the choices we make. And that might be, easier to kind of get your head around if you're thinking about making choices in terms of relationships. But it's also about approaching crossroads. And I guess the choices that we make for ourselves and the relationships that we form with ourselves. So we have to work on ourselves first, really. So if we're talking about what might hinder, I'm thinking about why am I following the spiritual path that I'm on, these crossroads, why, if I'm doing what I'm doing, how can I expand with my practice with the tarot? What am I reading the tarot for? How is it helping me to develop a relationship with myself first and foremost? So it's about getting that right, because it will hinder.
Yeah. The first thing that strikes me, and I suppose this is just the kind of imagery in these 2 cards. This is the Garden of Eden, yeah. This is Adam and Eve. It's this protected, enclosed, utopian environment.
Which also brings in choice again. The choice that made in the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, but what I'm bouncing. I'm looking at each of the environments against each other because these 2 couldn't be more different environments. With this, it's like you're protected. Nothing can harm you. You're inside this bubble. With this, you are exposed. You are out there. There is nothing. It's like the complete opposite almost. Do you know what I mean? And it almost, it's like, right, well, the first thing that I get, it's going to be about pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. To touch on the kind of choice aspect, yeah, choice, definitely. If we think about the Marseille, and think about the Fool's Journey, and this is where I start, this is how I see the Lover's card. It's not just about any old choice, it's about a choice between what you feel is your obligation, your responsibility, and what is your desire. It's the white horse and the black horse and the chariot, it's your balancing off, if you think of the Marseille decks, depending on how you look at it, you're looking at either the sensible choice. Sometimes it's actually the family, it's the mother that the guys, that's one of the 2 women in the card. But it's like the sensible choice and the obligation to the family and what they expect from you. And there's this, blonde, the choice, where you want to go with your heart. And like you just said it kind of towards the end there when you were speaking, it's not, this isn't saying, you need to go for one or the other. It's about, you know, knowing yourself enough to know the balance, to know, to get that right. It's about getting that right. Do you know what I mean? So,
and the
yeah,
balance between the head and the heart, isn't it? You know, but when we make that choice, balancing our head and our heart, how can I word what I'm trying to say? It's about then making an active decision rather than just carrying on going with the flow. So, you know, that choice, but balancing head with what the head says you should be doing, but what the heart is feeling, but then, you know, making an active decision so that we don't just carry on doing what we're doing because we're comfortable in doing it.
Yeah. And quite often when we make a choice, I don't know about you, but if I'm being really honest, when I think about me when I'm making choices, quite often when I make a choice, I make a choice based on what's best for the collective, what's expected of me, you know, what is the greater good. It's that kind of thing. That's what I'm thinking. It's like, right, okay, you know, this is what I want to do, but you know, I feel as though I really should do this because, you know, such and such depends on me for doing it or whatever it is, you know. Quite often we put obligation over ourselves, and it's like, I don't want to be selfish. Sometimes you need to be a wee bit selfish. So quite often that can be our downfall. It can be that kind of always putting someone else first. And if there's one thing that, you know, that's really kind of stands out about you, Simon, that most people can spot right away, it is your commitment to, you know, the community, to other people, to your friends, you know, to your family, to the people around about you. And I'm not going to be presumptuous and say that that's at the expense of yourself, because but I know that you're a very kind of committed person and a very dependable person, and you know, I would probably kind of say it's you know, it's probably quite important to you that you are that kind of person, you know. But
it is. I do get to the point where it happens every so often, usually every couple of years, but I get to the point where I just get totally burnt out, you know, and I find myself that, you know, I just, as much as I want to, I just can't do things. It's a really weird thing when it happens. Last happened about June of 2019, where I just couldn't do anything, you know, and I think all of us have got so much that we can give before our energy is completely depleted. And then you've got to allow those energy levels to start to fill back up. But yeah, how can I say it? I do enjoy doing that, you know, and I don't want to be a selfish person, but I am getting better at recognizing that, you know, there's only so much you can actually do before, you know, and I don't want to get to those points again where I've got nothing left to give because I've spent, you know.
yeah, no, I know what you mean, and it's a balance like everything else. It's a lesson in balance.
Yeah.
You know, there's a big difference between being the person who puts your own mask on, and if we use the airplane analogy, there's a big difference between being that person who puts your own mask on first so that you can then put other people's masks on, you know, your dependents, and being the person who puts your own mask on and then doesn't give a fuck about anyone else. You know, there's a difference, and sometimes it's when we're in ourselves, we don't see the difference between those two things, you know. Sometimes it's hard to put on your own mask first, even if when you logically follow the thought through to conclusion, it's the sensible thing to do and the necessary thing to do. It can still be a really difficult
But and I wonder how many of us would actually do that. You know, if we got a loved one sat at the side of us, particularly if they didn't have the same capacity or capability to do what we can do, how many of us would put our own mask on first, even though we know it's the right thing to do? Most of us would put the mask on our loved one, I think. But yeah, it's just little things like Daphne's like, I have to be the first one in at work, because if a member of the team gets in before me, I feel bad, you know. As the manager, I've got to be, and somebody gets in really early, so I have to get in earlier just to be there for when they get there. Do you know what I mean? And I have to be the last one out and that sort of thing. And I'm like, I don't actually have to do that. You know, if they make the choice to go in at 7:30 instead of 8:30, do I really have to be there at 7? Do you know what I mean? I've always done it. And it's just my nature, I guess. But I am getting better at that. I'm recognizing it more.
Right. Let's have a wee look at what people are saying, because I'm conscious that there's probably loads of comments to go through. So Elle says, shoving everyone out your tower for a moment, being conscious in who, where, how you are allocating your time. Then with the lovers, bringing back those people and things that show up, expectation free. Sorry, didn't do a very good job of reading that. That did I? So Jonathan says lack of self-love can hinder choices. Antoinette, hinder other people's involvement and input. Okay, so bringing in that kind of the idea. So that's something we didn't really touch on, is the idea of the lovers as involving someone else in the situation. But you know, maybe there's something there. Choice and commitment to the decision, says Deanne. Lovers as a spanner in the works, partnerships or attachments, interconnected, over-reliant, or too self-reliant if reversed in the shadow. John says another view, worrying about the views of others. Okay, so quite a few people are picking up on the... It's funny, when we chatted, we must have chatted about that card for a good while there, and not one of us kind of... Don't think we mentioned the other people thing, did we? So this is the barrier card. So if the choice is the keyword, what is stopping you make a choice? Maybe about making the wrong choices. Candy says there's been so much talk of confidence and knowing your skills. Could this be about self-love, Simon? Knowing that you are strong enough to leap out the tower? Hen says, in the position of hinder, I somewhat see the lovers as allowing the assholes of the world to get to you, forgetting to make choices for your own highest good. I think that's what we were kind of getting at. Candy, blinking heck, ignore the typos. You know what I mean, I hope. Don't worry, Candy, you're all good. Oh, hi, Martin. Oh. We got a jumper. Okay, maybe there's a new way to work with tarot to further your spiritual path. Changing it up is the choice to be made, says Sue. Neem. So Neem had said, I see an inner divide, and how it could be stifling how Simon wants to travel with his path. Self-preservation isn't 100% selfish. It's living your best life.
Yeah.
Is the card asking you to consider the hard decisions, to carve out time for this time of development, commit to self, the balance of guilt that can come of that choice? So, Simon, on a practical level, could this be a call to Patreon? Continuing what you're already doing, but as a new venture, having the confidence to ask your community to make a choice. Leave the cave a bit.
See, even that in itself is terrifying. Leaving the cave. The cave is my cave for a reason. It's my little safety place.
Yeah. What did that mean? I thought that they were talking about Patreon being the platform Patreon.
Yeah.
Is that what Candy was referring to? Yeah.
I've never really looked into Patreon. I know it's a pay for service, but I don't even monetize on my channel because I do it because it's enjoyment for me.
Yeah. Name ideas for growth and the community. Commitment to daily job, strength to go, persevere, but loss of time for self. Feels like it's falling apart and not giving yourself the time you need for you. Totally ignoring positions, just looking at the card interactions. Leanda says you're a Libra, Simon. Keeping an even inner keel is very important to your well-being. As the saying goes, you can please some of the people some of the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I think we've got to the bottom. So it's interesting that in both of the hinder positions, we've got what could be read as quite emotional cards, with the cups being, about the emotions and those emotional connections, and the lovers being, well, if read a certain way, it can be the ultimate emotional card, if you look at it as that kind of harmonizing with an outside force.
4 brainstorming cards that you referred to them as well as 3 major cards there.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's move on to the next card, because I'm conscious we're on 11, and I hope, are you okay for time, Simon? Yeah. Cool. I'm not going to lose you. You're going to start snoring in a wee minute.
Doing a Becca. Simon, wake up.
Right. So the next card is essentially what's coming up next. It's kind of like the immediate future card, if you like to look at it that way, or like the kind of the direction that things are going in. And this was my card of the day. You've got the Magician. So that is like that's actually a really kind of promising card. When we think about the question, it's kind of like the quick results card for me. It's like not the quick results card. It is like the answer is like you're going to get, a quick result. You're going to be in that Magician. You're going to feel in control of, the tools at your disposal, in control of your kind of, your, what's the word? I'll keep wanting to say logical, but that's not right. But just your kind of your conscious world, and kind of, wow, I've just fallen off my train of thought completely. It's like, do you ever get that way where you're like so excited that you want to about a thought, and it just it escapes you before you manage to before it goes from your brain to your mouth? That's what's just happened to me.
You've got certain words to say before you can get to that exciting bit that on those words.
Yep.
Yeah.
Essentially, though, the question is, we're looking at the idea of furthering your tarot and spiritual journey, and the immediate future is the Magician. What could be more spiritual than that? What could be a better representation of the tarot itself than the Magician?
And it's the card of commitment, which is that first step, isn't it? It starts with that commitment as well. And then it's the action that follows that commitment.
Yeah.
Committing to it, and then the action now. That's what the Magician says. It's act now. It's a time for
Yeah.
action.
Yeah, definitely. And again, like we're seeing the links here between, you know, we've got the Magician, we've got the Page, we've got the Ace. There's all this kind of so much potential, you know.
Mhm.
Let's see. So Jonathan says Simon's got all the skills that he needs to manifest what's needed on his journey.
Which is reassuring.
Yep. Candy says Chris. I don't know if that was maybe meant to be a bigger comment. Jackie says work it, Simon. Where's that horse outfit? Oh, my dog jumped. Sorry. My dog jumped on me. Ignore my single word comment. Altar/spiritual space revamp. Just thinking about the magician and his tools. Yeah, I mean, interesting because we've got all this kind of new energy coming in, but with the magician, I'm always reminded of the kind of the story of the fool's journey, and that first kind of card, that first energy that he comes up against is the magician. And the magician basically, you know, uses his magic, his powers, to open up the fool's satchel, and basically brings the 4 items that the fool has got in his, you know, in his satchel, and his wee paper handkerchief or whatever you want to call it, onto the table. He's showing the fool what he's got. You know, it's not like, you know, he's pulling these items out his arse. He's saying to the fool, "You've got everything that you need." You know, you might need a wee bit of inspiration to show you how you can use it. You've maybe not learned how you can use it, but everything that you need, you're already in possession of. There's nothing, you know, it's not a case that you're going to have to get out to the shops and buy something new to be able to progress on your path. Everything that you have is the key to, you know, going forth on your journey.
Yeah. And also bringing in that spiritual element. So whilst you've got the tool, you know, if you think of the elements and the pentacle with the spirit encompassing everything, then, you know, it's that concentration with the divine, whatever that is for you. Concentration on, you know, the tools that you have, and then the concentration on the manifestation, on making it happen. You know, you need, it's, you know, it's this, those 3 things are all important, and that's what's represented there with the magician. You know, is doing the as above so below, but is drawing on that spiritual connection, whatever that is. And I know that's different to a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. As she says, time for you before burnout. Okay. The final card is the kind of final outcome card, or it's like kind of the convergence point, you know, taking into account everything that we see on the table just now. It is, you know, where is everything going? Okay, and this is where we keep our fingers crossed that it's a nice card.
Just before you do, oh god, all right.
No, on you go.
Just before you do, Candy's come out with a belter. She's come out with an L quote. She just put, "Get your wand out, Simon."
Right, okay. Let's keep it clean, folks. I'm not sure if I'm allowed X-rated content on my YouTube. Although, to be fair, the Tarorama really pushed the boundaries of that, didn't it? The magic of yellow, red, and white, passion and purity of soul through inner wisdom. And then there's Candy's comment. Do you know what you want to be doing and just unsure where to begin?
Or was that Hen's comment?
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah. So Hen, I was just saying at the beginning, it's just about expanding, really opening out. So I've been on this path a while with tarot, and my spiritual path, but I just feel I don't need necessarily a new direction to go in. It's more about expanding the path that I'm on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I've said that a lot tonight, haven't I? If that makes sense.
I say that a lot as well. My mum says that a lot. So she does. She'll say, "Does that make sense?" And it's like, "Of course it makes sense, Mum. You've said the most basic sentence in all of mankind. Of course it makes sense." I think it's just a thing that she does. Did you see what the final card was?
It looked
Did
like
you?
an ace again, was it?
The moon.
Oh, the moon. I saw that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the moon. Wow.
Okay.
And
So
what's this? The ultimate outcome card.
yeah, it's like kind of the direction that things are going in. It's where things are going. It's like you might want to call it your final outcome card. I feel as though final outcomes sounds very kind of written in fate, or written in destiny, and I'm not sure how much I like that. I like to think that each time we make a choice, we alter this. But anyway, sorry. So whatever way you want to see it, that's what the moon is. So it's been able to kind of pull back that veil in the high priestess and kind of go into those those realms that we never thought possible before. It can be scary as shit. It can be a place where things are unfamiliar and you don't have a clue what's going on. It completely shakes up your your previous views on how everything works. But if you can learn to let go of your kind of preconceptions, it can be such a powerful place to be. That's how I read the moon card. And like, you've got the crayfish, you've got the two canines. It's like it's like, you're not sure, are they friendly? Are they not? Which one is going to tear me apart? It's like, I just, none of the old rules make sense anymore. Um, I'm just talking. I'm just yapping now. What do you think? How do you read the moon card?
It's a little bit confusing for me in terms of the question and this being the ultimate outcome, because for me the moon card is about times where things can be uncertain or confusing, but ultimately sticking to the path will lead you to times where there's more clarity to come. Do you know what I mean? I'm seeing this the two wolf story card, as she says. But also appearances can be deceptive, can't they, with the moon card? So I'm trying to link it to the question, and I guess for me it indicates that I am on the right path, and I'm going through a period of perhaps uncertainty and feeling like I'm lacking clarity and things are a little bit confusing, but clarity will come. That's what the moon card tells us, but we have to be aware, don't we, of the situation that we're in now, because we only have the light of the moon, and the light of the moon makes things sometimes appear different to what they actually are.
Yeah.
We see things in moonlight very differently to how we see things in the middle of the sunny day at noon. We get that clarity with the sun.
Definitely, it's a very deceptive light. But I think like that deception, that confusion, and the first thing you said there was that I'm a bit confused, and what I wanted to immediately say was, yeah, it's the moon. We're supposed to be confused. That's the whole point. We're not even at the magician yet. We're just about to come up to the magician. You better, you can be sure you're going to be confused looking at the moon. But it's like the whole point is it's supposed to be the unconscious realm, right? Oh gosh. Oh, I need more caffeine. It's happened again. What was I saying there? I'm so sorry.
You said about you know, we're supposed to. You talked about linking it from the magician.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. No, I think what I was so what I was saying was you were talking about how it's, the moon is very deceptive. Yeah, at first the moon is, the moon has a very deceptive light. You can never quite trust what your eyes are seeing when you're in that moon energy. But that's just one part of the journey of the moon. Your five senses, if you're going to continue on, that's what I was saying about kind of applying the old rules to the situation. If you're going to continue on trying to perceive everything with your five senses, trying to perceive everything as you've learned to do in the first few, in the first kind of major cards, the moon's going to tear you a new one. The whole point is learning to trust and this is where we can all kind of veer off into our own definitions of what spirituality is, of what deity is, of your relationship with deity. You might think of it as, listen to your intuition. You might think of it as like kind of receiving messages from deity. It's about learning to kind of perceive the world in a new way, in a way that you haven't done before. That's why the high and I feel as though I'm in a soapbox now. I'm just kind of chatting away about how I understand some of the other cards, but for me, this is what we see behind or what we don't see because of the High Priestess's veil. This is the kind of underworld that's behind the pomegranate veil. She's there for a reason, and it's what I've just said. If you try and negotiate this when you're just coming to the High Priestess, it's going to tear you apart. And that's what she's protecting you from, that before you're ready. But it's like we're at the moon now, you're not at the High Priestess, we're at the moon, so you are ready for that zone. It appears confusing right now. You're just coming up to the magician. You can barely even see this zone behind the High Priestess's veil. But it's a kind of reassurance that where you're coming up to, it's not something that you can properly. It's kind of like talk about the unknowability of God. If you believe, if you're kind of versed in that kind of religion, trying to understand what God is and all that kind of thing. We lack the capacity to understand that. So I suppose I can exchange the word God for deity, trying to understand what deity is. Well, it sends people around in circles. That unknowability applies to this moon energy.
It does, but it also speaks of the delusions that we experience when we're in our moon phase are really self-delusions, and the fears in the shadows are our self-doubts, aren't they? And the fears are figments of our imagination. Just like when we're children and we suddenly becomes nighttime, we have those, fears that there's somebody in the bed or in the wardrobe, and we turn the light on, and all of a sudden, those fears are, instantly removed in the light. So the moon talks about those self-doubts and those figments of the imaginations, and the kind of self-delusion, really.
Yeah. It's you that says, Simon, isn't it? Oh, I've lost my StreamYard. We're back. You have a thing for the word fear. Is it former experiences appearing real or something like that?
False experiences appearing real.
Right, okay. So, right, okay, yeah. So, and that false experiences appearing real, again, it's, you're talking about how you're applying previous, preconceptions to your current situation. It's when the brain tries to apply your previous experience to what you're going through now. So it might be telling you, the last time you crossed a road, you got a fright because a car came suddenly. That doesn't mean that every time you go to cross a road, you know, that doesn't mean you can never cross a road because you're going to get a fright every time, you know. But yeah, it's like it's that kind of past trauma that comes up. But it's this, that's what I'm saying. It's the applying these old rules. Do you know what I mean? It's that false experience as the old rules that I'm talking about. Trying to now think, am I veering too far off from the actual question, which I think I might be.
No, I don't think you are. It's certainly making sense, and I can relate to what you're saying.
Cool. Let's have a wee look at some of what some of the people in the chat have been saying. So sometimes the biggest expansion comes from energy retreating first. Think Big Bang, says Issue. Look to your dreams, says Candy. Deanne said second death, right, Kristen? That's a reference to a video that Kristen posted. I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but it just talks about the moon card, and it was a really enjoyable video. I watched it whilst I was working. Shh, don't tell anyone. Jackie says shine the light. Follow the path that you carve out for yourself. The Two Wolves story card, which grows and thrives.
Yeah, Jackie saying shine the light and dispel the shadows.
Yeah. I see Simon's intuition will deepen. You'll see past the illusions shown in the tower. And like the moon, things will ebb and flow, wax and wane as they're meant to. It only seems foggy. The moon is empowering to me, says Deanne. Middle path. We opened a path and closed with a path. It's all about the path, says Robin.
And you need a path if you're going on a journey.
That's very true. For further study, please. Oh, yeah. Contrasting the Ace of Pentacles with the Moon, yeah. Do you have Paul Greer's The Buddha and Tarot, and how do you link your practice to your tarot? A rhetorical question.
I don't have that book, The Buddha in Tarot. I don't. I've got lots of books on tarot and lots of books on Buddhism. But I've got Mindful Tarot, which is close.
It's okay to step onto the path even if you can't see all the steps or know the choices to make yet. Remember, this is a beginning, a page, an ace, a magician, a start again after a tower. You're cloaked in strength, says Candy. Thank you, Jackie. Oops, the soul card and the moon card look similar in shapes. Moon being the head, the dogs being the crossed arms, and the scarab being the hands.
It's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
You laid them on top or side by side.
Yeah. Perhaps there is a deck or book that Simon's insights into tarot and spirituality that wishes to grow. I'd be interested in either, says Issue. So Issue wants you to write a book.
I'll do it on Saturday.
What did you say there?
I said, yeah, I'll do it on Saturday.
So there's the comparison between those two for anyone that. Yeah, it is. So the crayfish is like the hands.
Yeah, the two dogs. I'm pointing at it like you can see it. Look there. Oh dear.
Nice. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the reading now. Have we got any kind of thoughts? Have you got any thoughts? Just looking at everything as a whole, and as I say that, I'm trying to just take that out, trying to kind of fit everything in so that we can actually see the reading as a whole. That would be helpful.
So, are you able just to just summarize everything into because I know we've literally had 2 hours. we talked for about 10 minutes, but we've literally had 2 hours and 10 minutes of information here, haven't we? Which has been amazing, Chris. I'm a lot more comfortable with this than I thought I would be going into it. There's a lot to take in there. And I know I'll be watching this video back with my journal. We're having some time off work now. But yeah, how would you kind of, as the reader, how would you summarize this?
So, okay, so summing up, I think there's a lot in here about going in a new direction. You know, we've got the ace energy, we've got the page energy, we've got the magician. You know, even if you want to start thinking about the 3 groups of 7 and the majors, we've got strength being the first start of that kind of second group. And then we've got the tower, you know, which isn't quite, to me, a new beginning, but it's what happens before it. It almost clears the way for a new beginning. So there's a lot of new energy coming in here, but then we've got the magician is shouting at you, like, it's okay to go in a new direction, but it's not about, you know, completely overhauling, you know, stopping everything that you're doing and starting again. It's about how you take what you've already got and how you apply it in new and innovative ways. You know, how can you take, you know, this sword, and sorry, you'll probably know this by now, but when I read, quite often I'll refer to cards, decks that aren't even on the table. I really love the Page of Swords from, of course, the Lightseer's Tarot, because that page has taken that sword and they've placed it down and they're using it to get over a big crack in the ground. So they've taken that sword and they're using that in a way that, you know, nobody else would have thought of. You know, it's completely new. At first you look at it and you think, why the fuck is that person using a sword to scale a gap? And then it's like, wow, like I wish I had thought to use that in that way, you know. It's that kind of thing. So it's all about taking the tools that you've got, taking what you're already doing, taking your current practices and thinking, right, how can I tweak things? How can I go in a slightly different direction that's going to best serve me? The Lovers, you know, have we got that balance between, you know, when I'm thinking about what I'm doing, when I'm thinking about taking my 4 tools and, you know, thinking about the direction that I'm going in, what is my actual thought process, you know? Am I thinking about what my obligation is to other people? Am I thinking about what's right for myself? Or am I trying to get that balance, you know? And, you know, if I have got the balance, you know, what are the scales doing? Do they maybe need to be kind of tipped one way or the other? Strength, you know, and this was like what you see is helping. It's all about having that confidence in yourself and confidence in your own abilities, and maybe just kind of lighting a wee bit of a fire. You know, you're such a loved and established member of our community. Like I said it earlier on, you're the glue that holds us all together. But is there some way where, you know, oh gosh, what am I saying now? So is there some way you can light that fire? Is there a way that you could be more confident in yourself? You know, looking at you as, you know, the Simon that we all know and love. You are such a radiant light, such a, you know, and you, not only are you confident, but you give us all confidence to, you know, to do what we're doing. I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't even have a channel if it wasn't for people like you and Elle who've encouraged me and just kind of like, you know, cleared the way. Do you know what I mean? But strength is still coming up, you know. We all see you as this confident figure who gives us confidence. But do you need to kind of keep some of that confidence for yourself, some of that fire for yourself. What else have we got? We had the air energy coming up a fair bit at the start, and as we went kind of through the reading, we saw that kind of this, you know, that air kind of cleared, and we started getting into some of the kind of, I mean, in fact, look at how that started. We started off like very much in the realm of the minors, and then bam, 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 major, major, major. Do you know what I mean? It's like as we've kind of we started off thinking about the kind of the little things, you know, the little things that you can do, and it's like as we look at the ripple effect, you know, how are they affecting us further down the line? And it just makes you think like the little things that we can do today and how, you know, further down the line, how they can affect us tomorrow, next week, next year. It's not a very eloquent summary. It's not a very kind of bullet pointed, concise summary, but that's kind of that's just what that those are the words that want to come out of my mouth about how I would summarize that reading.
Yeah, it was an eloquent summary. I found it really, really helpful. And you know, getting 5 of Swords, 5 of Cups, and the Tower, you might think, oh, but these are all disruptions. But actually, the way that you read them and the way that we discuss them is very much, you know, most people when they turn those cards would be like, but it's actually my life path. If I look back, has always had these little pockets of disruptions, and I think after each one, each disruption you deal with better, you know, and you can then see when you've gone through so many disruptions, that they're not always to be feared. And as we said earlier, when you look back at them and see the journey that you've come on, you're grateful for them. But even from the first one, we talked about no man being an island, you know, and the fact that you don't always have to do things on your own, and you can bring other people in to the whole sort of healing that needs to take place, and not turn your back on it, actually, you know, deal with it and then move on, and then preparing for future, and particularly having those firm foundations in place. That's just drawing out those 3 cards. You know, I could go through them, all the others as well, but you've done it so well. But it's really made me look at things differently. And then ended on the Moon card, because I was like, oh, I'm really confused, as we should be. It's still a path, you know, but it's how I'm viewing the path in that Moon energy, you know, and the delusions that aren't necessarily there, or not that they're not there, but I need to view them differently, shine some light on them.
Yeah. It's always nice. It's nice to end on the Moon card as well, because, or just any card that isn't like final, because it's like this is a never-ending journey. This is a journey that we're always going to be on. You know, you look at it there, and we see the path starting that Robin had kind of pointed out. You see the path starting through this kind of garden here. When you look at the last card, the path is still going on. It's going on beyond what we can see. This is a
end.
Yeah, and that's the point where, you know, we look at the question, your spiritual journey, your tarot journey. It's not, you're not going to get to a point and it's like, all right, this is the end of my journey. You know, especially when when you think about spirituality side of it. We're corporeal beings, we're physical beings, but we're spiritual as well. Do you know what I mean? And that's a life journey that we're always on, you know.
Absolutely. To infinity beyond.
Yeah, exactly. Now let me just quickly run through some of the final comments. I don't think that there's terribly many. So Jonathan had said, I agree, if it wasn't for Simon, I I don't know if I would ever have started a channel myself. Simon provided so much strength. He's definitely allowed and welcome to lean on us and also pick our brains. Regina, Simon and Becca were the first folks that really made me feel safe and engaging with tarot community in an online space. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you both, and thanks all in the chat.
Look how you quickly skip over your compliments.
Yeah, do you know, I'm not meaning to click on them at all. I'm trying to I'm trying to be
Good.
okay. I think that's us, guys. Thank you so much, Simon. I know that you were quite nervous, quite apprehensive about doing this, and I really appreciate you coming on and baring your soul to us all and letting us all get our, as I said at the start, get our grubby little cards on you.
I knew, Chris, that I'd be in safe hands. I was talking to some friends, and they was like, "You're doing this, you?" With all you say, and I was like, "Yeah, I have kind of said that I wouldn't kind of put myself in this situation, but you know what? I class you as a friend, and I know how you read, and I just felt that I was in safe hands, and it was nice to have this experience, and to come on. And I've seen how you've done roundtable readings with others, and yeah, so I thank you, and I've appreciated your candor as well. In the same sense that you kind of made me feel comfortable, it was also you didn't, I don't feel that you felt that you had to hold back at all, and that's the mark of a good tarot reader, somebody who says what they sees, and delivers it in a way that's manageable for the person, for want of a better phrase.
Cool.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. The pleasure was all mine. To everyone who's here in the chat, thank you so much to everyone, to each and every one of you for being here. To everyone for your amazing insights on this reading. Yeah, I couldn't do it without you. I really appreciate it. And I think that just leaves me to say until next time, everyone, I hope that everyone has an amazing weekend. I know for us in the UK, it's a public holiday tomorrow. So for anyone that does have a long weekend, I hope that you're doing something fun with it. I hope that you eat copious amounts of Easter eggs. Simon's jamming, he's off all of next week as well, but we'll quickly gloss over that one.
10 days.
Yeah, take care, everyone, and I shall speak to you at some point over the weekend.
Bye.